So glad you could be with us again. I am with Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a James Beard Award nominee. The group includes the Sovereign in Georgetown. In Penn Quarter, you have the Partisan right next door, a Red Apron, and then in DuPont Circle, Iron Gate. Greg, it is always good to see you.
You too, my man.
What do we have on tap this week?
This week we are heading overseas for an import, which is always fun to mix into our beer of the weeks. Schlenkerla is the brewery. It's actually called Heller Troom, but it's known as Schlenkerla the world over. Some of the most unique beers in the world. They're known for making Rauch beer or smoked beer. These are now smoked lagers, almost exclusively. And this one is known as Fastenbier or Lent beer. And it's amazing because we're actually able to get it in cans for the first time. So
cool.
Let's take a taste.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about this before, and this may be one of my least favorite styles of beer, but I really like this one.
I chose this one purposefully for a number of reasons. And one of them was that it's a milder smoked beer. So Schlenkerla is located in Bamberg, in Franconia, which is a region of northern Bavaria in Germany that is home to the most breweries per capita in the world. Little small breweries that only serve their communities, and there's many of them, hundreds of them. They're known for lager production primarily, and a number of them make smoked beer. Beers with malts that are made from direct fire kilning over beechwood fires. And that gives you that telltale meaty quality, that bacon, mortadella, kind of bologna note that you get in the beer. And Schlenkerla has been, it's been around since the 14th century as a monastery. They started brewing at the end of the 17th century. And then the modern brewing really took over in the mid-19th century. So they've been making smoked beers for a very long time. Incredible place. And most of their beers are made with 100% smoked malt, meaning that all of the malt used is smoked over that beechwood fire. So it's super bacony, very meaty, very smoky. Yeah. This one is a blend. So this uses some smoked malt, some unsmoked malt. And that's why it has that kind of campfire meaty aroma. But then the flavor on the palate, the taste is smoother, not as smoky and cleaner, and it still drinks like a really nice amber lager at 5.5%.
Yeah, my imagination goes to all places when you talk about smoked beer. You think, well, are they piping smoke into the kettle? No, it's all in the malt.
Yeah. All barley needs to be malted to give us sugar for fermentation, and part of that process is you get the grain wet, it starts to germinate, where like complex starches start to turn into simple sugars, but you have to stop that process by drying the grain. So nowadays, most brewers will use, indirect kilning or, electric heat that can dry the grain without imparting any flavor. But for most of beer's 10,000 year history, people were using direct fire. Right. So if you were brewing in Bamberg or in Franconia, you'd be using beechwood, and the malt and the resulting beer would taste like beechwood smoke. If you were in Scotland or the Netherlands, you'd be using peat, because that's your local heat source, and so your beer would taste like single malt scotch, before it's been distilled. So very cool, classic flavors, and sometimes an acquired taste, but once you acquire it, it's yours for a long time. The last thing I wanted to mention,
yes.
Be United is the importer of Schlenkerla. They've been doing this for many, many years. They have a cool way that they bring, most importers just bring kegs and bottles and cans on a tank container, and they bring it over, whatever. Be United has these large totes that they'll fill with beer overseas and then do the packaging stateside. So it keeps the beer fresher and everything. And so they're canning this stateside on behalf of Schlenkerla. And so you get this super fresh lager that tastes like it's been brewed in Connecticut where it's canned, even though it's been brewed overseas.
All sorts of ideas swimming around my head. What would you pair this with? Oh, smoked salmon?
Salmon. I wouldn't even pair it. You can pair it with smoked salmon, but I think just salmon.
Nice,
you know what I mean? Let it smoke with the beer. But the one thing I would say to stay away from is, for the longest time, people were like, oh, it tastes like meat, pair it with meat. You can do that, and it's going to be fine. I mean, the best part about this beer is that it's crisp, it's refreshing, it's going to cleanse the palate, it's going to go with a lot of things just based on it being a beautiful dry lager with a little bit of hop character. But maybe try to go for things that could use a little smoke, like some salmon or sable fish, mackerel, sea bass. Firmer, meatier fish that's sometimes oily. It's going to be amazing. I wouldn't do this with like a BLT necessarily, just because it's already got the bacon. But I would do it with a grilled cheese with tomato, and this is going to kind of bring the bacon in. Same way, if you're going to do like a burger with blue cheese, you get your bacon from the beer, and then anything like peanut buttery is great. You've heard bacon and peanut butter go hand in hand, and so like pad thai or kung pao, chicken, hummus even with the sesame character is going to be amazing with this.
I would invite everyone to try it, because I know there's a lot of people out there who have not had a smoked beer before, and why not have it from one of the best, if not the best. Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.